Hello, welcome back. I got a question from one of you guys on Instagram, and the question was something like this. Patty, when I practice speaking by myself, it tends to go well. Usually it goes well. I can find my words, I can express myself nicely. My pronunciation's not so bad. I feel quite confident developing my ideas. Everything seems to be okay. But then reality hits, and I get this overwhelming feeling every time I have to actually talk to a person. Because when I talk to a person, my English is not the same. I forget words. My pronunciation suffers, so I say things in the wrong way, even when I know they are wrong. I know I'm doing it wrong, I still do it anyway. I can't find the right way to explain things. And I'm wondering, what's wrong with me? I'm wondering means I'm asking myself. And I'm wondering, what's wrong with me? Do you know why this happens? Why does it happen? Is it going to be happening forever? Okay, so let's start with the last question. Is it going to happen forever? It depends on your personality. So this is practically just psychological. If you are a perfectionist or you are a very insecure person, and or you are somebody who feels the need for validation all the time, so you need external validation, you need people to say your English is good, you need to feel the person likes you or respects you or is listening to you or cares about what you're saying. You need validation, and or you have a massive imposter syndrome, so you feel less than all the time. For you, people around you are always better than you. They always know more than you. They're always more worthy than you are. So, all of those things I said, perfectionism, a massive need for validation, insecurity, and a huge imposter syndrome will affect the quality of your speaking when you're talking to somebody, when you're having an actual interaction forever. So, do you see why? I think this is a great example for you to help you see why learning a language, it's not about remembering that nice expression and using different expressions all the time. It's not only about knowing all the verbal tenses, so I can use the present simple, I can use present perfect, I can use past perfect, I can use all the conditionals and this and that and the other. That is all great. I'm an English teacher. I encourage you to know the language as well as possible. But that is not enough. So remember this. All of those things I said related to vocabulary and grammar and the use of the language are all very good, but they aren't enough. I have known many people who could really navigate the language so well. They had found their footing. They knew what to do, they were fine, but they were not confident, or they just didn't feel like themselves when they were speaking. They constantly felt like a fraud, like an imposter, or every time they met somebody, they just had this feeling they were not themselves in the sense that they couldn't fully show that other person what their personality was and the great things about them, because the thought that they were less than, that they were not perfect, that the person was not liking them, that the whole thing was sounding awful, was dominating their thoughts. So, the psychology of bilingualism is something we cannot ignore. And it is, in fact, completely neglected by most traditional methodologies. It's just not something we hear people talk about. What we hear people talk about is write down the 5 phrasal verbs you need to know. And I'm like, do you? Do you though? Is that what's really going to make a difference? Because let me tell you, I have been speaking this language for 22 years now. Is it really 22? Because I keep saying 22 and I'm not sure it is. It is 22 years now since I started learning English. And there are so many things I don't know. And I'm a teacher. And there are so many things. I say this very humbly. Honestly, I say this out of humility. There are so many things I don't know. So many words I don't know. Expressions I don't know. Expressions I know but I don't use. So many words I know and I don't use. But when I speak this language, it's me. It's Patricia. It's really me. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. I manage to completely portray and depict my essence, the core of who I am, what makes me me when I speak this language. And that is the reason why I can talk to myself and I can talk to any stranger and feel that it was okay. And I will notice if there is an interaction where I have failed to remember words because I was tired or stressed or I had a migraine or whatever reason. I will notice that, but the person listening to me probably won't. And they will be happily having an interaction with me in English and it will be really nice. And I will notice that I may be talking to somebody else and I feel that it flows effortlessly and that I make myself proud listening to myself. I go, wow, it'd been a while since I used that word. Look at me throwing in that lovely little expression in there. I don't know, I feel that there are interactions that I am more pleased with than others, but there are no interactions that I feel that perfectionism, feeling less than, needing validation, all those things I mentioned earlier, take over the reason why I'm even speaking to somebody. What's the reason why I'm talking to a person? It might be simply to socialize. It might be because I need to, so it's a problem I'm solving. It might be small talk. It might be just because I want to be polite, I want to be nice. It might be something mundane and trivial, something that I have to get sorted. There's always a reason why you're speaking to somebody, and that reason has to come first. The reason why you're interacting has to be what's speaking to you as you're talking. So you have to remind yourself of why you're even talking to somebody else in English. Now, back to the beginning of this conversation. Why does it happen? It happens because of those things I said. But there's more. It happens because you have to go through a long journey as a learner until you reach somewhere, until you get to a place that you're able to use the language without panicking, without allowing stress to take over everything else. Because when stress is the main thing, you will forget more words, you will mess up the grammar more, you will speak wrong, your pronunciation is going to sound a bit funny. So you might be wondering, okay, great, how do I control my stress levels? You don't really, in terms of speaking a language. What you do is you practice speaking that language with another person and hopefully different people so much, so many times that it just, it makes sense. And you're not panicking over it anymore. You're doing it without realizing you're doing it. You're just doing it. And like I said, just go back a little bit so you don't get lost here. You do it without noticing you're doing it, but that is not to say that you don't pick up on some mistakes you make or the fact that you are not speaking as well as you could potentially have spoken. Yeah, that's fine. But you get over that. What stops happening eventually is the whole, my God, when I talk to myself, I talk smoothly. The words come out lovely. And when I'm talking to somebody else, my English is all wrong. That stops happening for real. Because you have practiced so much, so many times talking to another individual and different people, because you get used to people as well. So if you're talking to the same person all the time, you're going to get used to that. So you don't want that. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. This is just a very honest chat as always, because my goal as a teacher is to help you truly face your learning with humility and truth, knowing what to expect. Okay, so the whole, you speak to yourself for 2 minutes a day, and when you have an interaction with somebody, your English is going to be flawless. That's not true, because then you're ignoring psychology. And psychology is one of the aspects that make you you when you're interacting with somebody else. That's how you show up in the world. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching me today. See you guys later.